my accountant just does my tax.
Oh my gosh, I have been losing out. I haven't raised my prices and I've been paying these higher prices now for 18 months.
Processing your tax return. That's just like bare minimum.
It's something that we need to be mindful of as small business owners. How many times do you talk to your accountant every year? I know you probably only talk to your accountant during your tax time or when something's really wrong. Am I right? And looking at your numbers every single month or every single quarter at the very least is probably not crossed your mind, not to mention that you should also be talking to your accountant regularly. Because when you know your numbers, you can make smart decisions. Decisions like, can I afford to give my stylist a pay rise? Should I increase my prices? Should I change my products? What should I do next? Where should I put my efforts? The numbers will always tell you what to do next in your business. And I promise you, looking at the numbers is not as scary as it seems, which is why I'm excited to share my chat with you with Jolene and Christy from Suma Collective. We're going to cover what you need to know when it comes to your salon's numbers, which are the numbers that are key to your business growth. But really quick, before we start, I wanted to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Salon Mastery. The Salon Mastery programs helps salon owners break through the growth ceiling. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, can't get past the same stage all the time, and really step into being a $1 million business owner. You'll learn the strategies to elevate your salon and become a successful and profitable business. But hey, it's without the stress, without the overwhelm. No more 60 hours a week. We want to live a life of freedom and profit. Okay, let's get into the episode. Here is what your accountant isn't telling you. Christy, Jolene, thank you so much for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Pleased you could be here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So before we kick things off, why don't we start with, who are you guys? What is your company? Where are you in the world? What do you do? And how did you get to be doing that? Let's start with that. Over to you.
Great. Well, I'll start. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs in my family and knew that I always wanted to join them. And accounting kind of fell in my lap with my first job. And I've just continued for the last 20 plus years in the accounting industry and started working with salon business owners and really, really enjoyed working with them with their creative mindset and them knowing that the numbers were not their strong suit. We made a really great partner in this business realm. And I had a group of clients and joined forces with Christy about just over 2 years ago. And we've been really fortunate to kind of grow Suma Collective together and support the beauty industry.
I love that. Thanks, Jolene. What about you, Christy?
So I have an accounting background, just like Jolene. Obviously, that's why I ended up in accounting, but mine is a little bit different. It wasn't in a public accounting or at an accounting firm initially. It was actually for a catering company. And so my experience in accounting was in a fun, fast-paced environment with creative people. And that part I really loved, how the business ran, the operations of it, and then doing the finances for it and all the inner workings of the two together and how those finances influenced the operations. And I just loved that industry. And so Jolene and I met a couple of years ago, and we're located outside of Seattle, Washington, in the U.S. And we actually found each other in a virtual space and then realized we live a half an hour away from each other. So we started with meeting monthly and just having, network lunches with each other and things we're facing in our individual accounting firms at the time together. And joined forces and are serving the beauty industry, which I love because it's another group of creatives and they love giving their clients great experiences behind the chair or in the chair while they're behind it and growing their team. So they're one of my favorite client industries to work with. And so we started the Suma Collective, and it specializes just in the beauty industry and Jolene and I are just having a blast doing it.
I love that. I love how you found each other. I love how you're really clear about who you want to work with. I mean, these are the gifts of being able to, work for yourself. You get to make some good choices. So my question to you two is, being working in solely the hair and beauty industry, what's the one mistake that you see small business owners make that you just wish, if they just knew this one thing, life would be a lot easier? If you had the opportunity, which you do, to tell them what it is, what is that one thing?
Yeah, it would be looking at your past data and not looking forward. So while the past data is so important to look forward, we really need to get out of that mindset of just dealing with what's already happened and past transactional data, and really looking forward and projecting where we're going and how we can manipulate that to get us to our end goal, right? We all have goals as business, why we're in business, right? We're in business either for time freedom or money freedom or a combination of the both. And without looking forward and really being an active participant in your numbers and where your finances are going, you're just going to be stuck in the past, and you're going to really be reactive instead of proactive. So we really love coaching our clients on how to be more proactive in their business and more proactive with their accounting and finances so that they can then meet their business goals, meet their personal goals. And so it's just that mindset shift of looking at the past versus moving forward and looking into the future.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think maybe, and you would know more than anybody, maybe there's a bit of a mindset that my accountant just does my tax. And it's kind of this annoying thing that I have to get done. And I know that most salon owners drag their feet at getting the data and the information together. And so by the time we get this end of year accounting, it can be 18 months old, the information. So why should we actually care about the data, pull it together more quickly for our accountants? Like, what are we getting wrong there?
Yeah. So, gosh, and looking at the past, I think it's defining what is the past. What's that timeline look like? So you mentioning 18 months in the past is exactly it. Especially if you do a tax extension, is just checking the box and getting our taxes done and not utilizing that information. And so we would really say the past consists of last month's data. So that's what we want you paying attention to, and processing things from there is that you have such a shorter window, and that information that although it's considered in the past, in the last 30 days, is what's projecting you so much more forward, because it's real time data that's happening now, and not just checking the box of tax, although that is a requirement. We want to make sure we do it. Is that's definitely not the end goal when it comes to having your books done and processing your tax return. That's just like bare minimum.
All right, great. What about looking forward? What are the things we should care about looking forward? And what does it tell us? What does last month's data tell us that is useful for our business?
Yeah. So a lot of the things, I meet with a lot of our clients monthly, and the things we're looking at is what happened last month. How does that compare to last year's month, the same time frame, or the quarter, depending upon the time frame we're in the year. And what it really tells us is what and initially with clients, we meet with them and say, what are your current goals that you want for your future? And these goals are personal goals. I want to buy a house. I want to step back from working behind the chair and hire another team member. I want to start having children, or I want to be more present in children, or I want to travel. And so, and then business goals. We need to open up a new location and have an expansion, things like that. So we know what these things are and our goals are, and what we want our clients to be able to achieve. And so knowing those things and looking at how that financial information is tracking helps us influence those decisions on how to make those goals happen. So if you have a salon expansion, is how much money are we projecting that will cost, and starting to build, maybe that's a slush fund for down payment deposits on your contractor, initial down money on a loan that you're going to take out, making sure your financials are in the position to take a loan out and what kind of documentation is the bank going to need for that. So having it there and being able to do those forward thinking decisions and having it accessible is going to save you time as well and money, where it doesn't delay a project. It doesn't delay all these things that just add up and add expense. And then it also tells us, how much money did you spend on payroll and what did that impact what impact was that to your revenue? And so, you can make, instead of like further down the road financial goals that you're trying to accomplish, it's, more in real time and like what's happening next month, what's coming up in 3 months, what is, depending on where you're at and what your industry and your location slow season is like what challenges are you going to be facing, and setting aside extra funds for peaks and valleys and things like that. So it's really can be looking forward longer term, much longer term, but also, short term in the next month, 3 months, 6 months as well.
I love that. And I love that you are creating a cadence for people to actually check in and have a conversation around those numbers on a monthly basis. We also do this and advocate for that. Like, it's not just the numbers. We actually need to understand what the numbers are telling us. What does it mean? It's going to tell us our next move, our next chess move. So I really love that is built in. I want to switch a little bit now to the current economic environment, and things have changed yet again. I feel like we just got over COVID and we just worked out how to do things differently now. And now the economic environment has shifted again. And I see small businesses struggling to adapt and really read what's happening and how that's impacting their business. What have you seen happen, and what would you suggest is something that we need to be mindful of as small business owners?
Yeah. So one of the things that I see happen, and this is meeting with our clients, any of our clients that are monthly and quarterly, is we look at it really impacts their team and that how large their team is, what they can afford to pay their team, and being really mindful of that dollar, the payroll dollars that are going out the door. And one of the things that's what comes to really top of mind right now is a recent client meeting that I had. And one of her team members, because the landscape that we work in now, you obviously can't work remote when you are in the beauty industry. But what we have seen come up is I've seen where different team members are wanting to work, so we're in Seattle. So this is a local client. One of our team members wants to work here in Seattle part of the year. The other part of the year, she wants to work in Arizona. And so, but what that does is that's great. We have those capabilities and with technology and all those things. However, with the new landscape of, it's like the new age version of like a stylist working remote or just having a hybrid locations, is when she's not in Seattle, it significantly is impacting this salon's revenue, and she sees a significant drop. And so the profit margin that this salon in Seattle is used to making, it drops off for 6 months of the year, 4 months of the year. And so that business owner is really needing to say, is this something that I can accommodate? And if so, how do I accommodate it? And if not, how do I deliver that news to this team member? And so it's interesting to see just the shift in the way that we can work and the accessibility that this stylist is able to go build another client list in another completely different location, all thanks to Instagram. And so we see that. But then the other thing that we'll see really when it comes to economy is the increase in all of our costs and how much it costs even more to do business, and keeping up with those costs and not. I think owners I see are hesitant to raise their prices because they're conscientious of what their client is going to end up having to pay, and they're nervous about losing that business if they have to raise it. But then they're eating a bunch of higher expenses to be able to do that. And so I see a lot of apprehension and nervousness around that.
Hey, it's me. It's just me. And I'm quickly jumping in to interrupt and say, hey, thanks for listening to this episode. And I hope you're loving this episode. Now, let me ask you, do you ever feel like you've reached the top of the mountain and you just don't know what to do next? Like if you're $1 million business and maybe you're about to reach it, or maybe you're already there, but now you're feeling a bit lost because the strategies that got you there aren't going to get you to your next milestone. Or what got you here isn't going to get you there. Sometimes the things that we did just don't work anymore. But I have some powerful strategies just for you. The Salon Mastery Boardroom is designed for $1 million plus businesses, and you'll learn how to take your salon to the next level whilst being surrounded by a community of other $1 million like-minded salon CEOs. Those CEOs are there to support and uplift you. So I'd like to invite you to join me for a complimentary $1 million strategy call. We'll discuss your business, your role in the business, and how to explore how you can grow your team, your leadership team, and develop the people so you can take the next step and reach that next milestone. All you need to do is click apply now in the show notes of this episode. It will take you through but a couple of quick questions, then you can book a strategy call with me. All right, that's enough. Let's get back to the episode.
So one of the things we really look at is what their gross profit is. And we want to make sure we're watching what that is and what decisions can they make to control their costs better. And maybe that's a different product line. Maybe that's buying better bulk with your sales rep and buying in, when your sales rep has different specials and stuff going on, and utilizing those and being prepared for that cash flow wise too, to make a larger product investment. And then also making sure that you're selling the best we look at revenue streams and what breaks out all your different revenue streams. So retail product, different service lines that you're doing. And so really paying attention to, are your ratios and your percentages within those revenue streams, do they seem balanced, and are they continuing to trend similarly with each other? If they're not, and your retail seems low, what can we do to bring retail up? And what can you do with the existing client list you have as far as revenue goes? And then just the biggest thing is watching those costs and knowing, okay, I think it gives a business owner so much empowerment to know their finances and say, I've done all the other things I could do. It's time to raise prices. And then they feel more confident in communicating that to their clients. And that confidence shows through, and their client sees that. And so it's a mutual understanding of just where the economy is. And so knowing your numbers is powerful because you feel confident in making that decision and committing to it.
And just one thing that I want to kind of add to that too is just having those numbers accessible, right? So we see so many times, like we were kind of talking about earlier, is you wait 18 months and then you're like, oh my gosh, I have been losing out. I haven't raised my prices and I've been paying these higher prices now for 18 months. And then it's like a gut shock, right? Because we're like, oh my gosh, like I have been really losing out on a lot of money that if I would have been reviewing these financials more up to date, right? Like at least monthly, we could have pivoted and made these management decisions a lot sooner and saved, bumped up our revenue sooner. And unfortunately, we've seen businesses go out of business because of this. They're not really looking in real time. And then by the time we do their taxes at the end of the year, they're like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to recover from this? Or can I even recover from this? And so it just comes back to just making sure that you're reviewing those numbers on a we say at least a monthly, if you can't do monthly, quarterly basis, because the longer you wait, the more money you're missing out on and the harder it is to recover.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I think often instinctually we know what needs to happen, or we can see gaps and opportunities, but they feel like gut instinct or they feel like best guess. But if we can actually sanity check those with real raw data, then that gives, to your point, Christy, real confidence in the decision making. And if we need to let somebody go, or we need to hire somebody else, or we need to buy more stock or change whatever it is that we need to do, there's power in confident action rather than just second guessing, and then we're not fully committed and we don't really follow through, and we kind of say, oh, maybe you should work less hours, maybe you shouldn't, and it all becomes very wishy-washy. So I love this sort of powerful confidence.
And numbers take the emotion out of it, right? So as business owners, we get so emotionally tied to our clients and emotionally tied to money and how it affects us personally and our family. And that's why I love numbers, is because it completely takes the emotion out of it. And if you can just really focus and say like, okay, what are my numbers showing me? And what can I do to change those numbers in my favor? It just takes the emotion out of it. And so that's That's why I personally just love numbers so much.
They don't argue back with you, like it
Yeah.
just is. It either is or it isn't. It's either positive or it's negative, or it's one or it's two, and there's no gray area. So I also love that too. Now, I know many hair and beauty professionals probably didn't have a great time with numbers at school. Like there's a little bit of an association with I'm not good at numbers, I don't like my numbers, I'm scared of numbers, put my head in the sand. What would you say to those people listening now going, oh my God, please don't make me do my numbers?
Oh gosh, yes. So, and we hear this all the time. Like when we do our meet and greets with, potential clients or consulting clients, the first thing out of their mouth is, I'm so embarrassed and I'm ashamed and I don't know what to do. Right. And so just to give listeners some comfort, it's like, you're not alone. Right. Like I always tell everybody, like, you're not alone. I can guarantee you I've seen worse. And taking that first step and like reaching out for help is a great starting point. And yeah, just, you know, there are two sides of the brain. There's the creative side and there's the numbers side. And this is why we love working with people in this industry, is because they are the creative side and we so need that. Like I love to go get like I cannot do my hair or do my brows or my lashes, right? Like I know that I'm going to go to my trusted people for that. And so just acknowledging and knowing like this is not a strong suit of mine, and that's okay. All of us as business owners need to delegate, and we're not good at everything. And so just acknowledging that and reaching out for support and help and knowing that there's people out there that can give you that guidance and support that you need is kind of eye-opening, right? And um a lot of people come in and they're like, I didn't even know that you existed, right? Like I have gone to this accountant my whole life and I hear from them once a year when it's tax time. That's the only time that I hear from them. And it's just, Christy and I are kind of on a mission to change the accounting industry as well. And just and getting ourselves out there, and like that's one of the reasons that we're so thankful for you having us on your podcast, is so we can reach more people and reach more beauty business owners and let them know there's other options out there, and you need to know where to go to get that support that you so desperately need, because this isn't the strong suit in your business, and that's okay. There's no shame in that, and just reaching out. Like I don't ask me to do marketing in our business. Like we have a marketing company for that, right? And so it's just part of owning a business is knowing and utilizing your time to the best of your ability. And this is something that also takes time. And it's like, well, would you rather be spending that time that you're, with your family, or taking on one more client, per month to pay, a fee to engage with someone like us? And so just kind of shifting that mindset around is really a great place to start.
I love that. That's great. So you are business owners. What would you say is a quote or a mantra or something that, you feel really strongly about that you want to share?
So it's kind of our own quote that we have found ourselves saying, because it's just the amount of clients that we meet with and business owners that we chat with, and just the things that they have been up against is, we're not your dad's accountants. And we are not, like Jolie mentioned, we're looking to be change makers in the industry and be feminine and fun and approachable and not judgmental at all. We've literally seen everything, and we don't want to talk over you, go off on a tangent about with accounting terminology that isn't understandable, although that might happen. So just like say, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. And but we love that. Those are the type of client relationships we love to have, is just honest ones and open ones. And so, yeah, hashtag we're not your dad's accountants.
I just love that that's your hashtag, because I have my very own story about that. So in my first year of business, my dad was an entrepreneur, business owner, and so he helped me work out spreadsheets and build all the stuff in the first year. And lo and behold, he took me to his accountant. That accountant, I'm sure he was lovely, spoke directly, looked at my dad when he spoke about my business, didn't even look at me. And I was like, this is not going to fly. So we moved on from him very quickly. My second accountant probably wasn't any better, but at least my dad wasn't in the room. And my dad was there to support me, not as the business owner, not as, actually had nothing to do with my business. He was just there being my dad. And I remember, couldn't have felt more small in that moment when he wouldn't even look at me. So I love that that's your hashtag.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. And nothing against the dad's accountants out there. It's just a different era, and we're looking for different customer service. And a lot of us have been there and been in that room where we haven't been looked at and been asked the questions too about our own business or our own decisions. And so, yeah, we're just looking to do it differently and have it more fun also.
I love that, because actually once you get over the fear of numbers are really fun. They're actually really great, and they're not as hard as we think once you understand the framework. Okay, what is a book, a podcast, or something that you've both had your hands on recently you think that all of our salon owners need to read or listen to? What do you suggest?
Yeah, so I love Profit First, and I really love anything by Mike Michalowicz from a business owner's perspective. He has a ton of books, ton of resources. So I love his Profit First method. It is a very good place to start to learn to kind of like manage your business finances and make sure that you're paying yourself, because if we can't pay ourselves, why are we even in business, right? And they actually have a Profit First for salon owners as well. So this takes Mike Michalowicz's Profit First methodology and tweaks it a little bit to be more specific for the industry. So I think that it's such a great place to start if you're wanting to try to learn how to manage your finances on your own. It gives you a lot of great framework and tips and tricks on how to do that.
And then I just finished, this is a productivity book. And I think that this is, it's, Winning the Week, and it's by Demir Bentley and Carrie Bentley. And basically it's productivity, and it teaches us as business owners, and really anyone in management, even leadership roles too, is just different tips and tricks and ways to own your week and structure it in a way that you're working on your business, not sucked into the business, and really specific like framework things that you can put into your week and how you can structure that week and be successful in that. And I loved the mix of practical like stuff that you can put into place, and then just the mindset shift that I had as far as like how you can respond to people and how you can put communication boundaries into place and not, be taking client calls and rescheduling requests and any of those things in odd hours of the day, that there's things that you can use for those, have in place for that. And so I just loved all the little tips and tricks that came in that book.
I love that, Christine. It's like it's the outside of finances, the only other important commodity is the time. Like it's either about money or it's about time, really, at the end of the day, and how you spend either one of those. And so if we can nail both of those, then I think, we can live a life of what I like to say is freedom and profit. Like we need to have both.
Love that.
Absolutely.
It's not settle for one.
And they're so tied together, which a lot of people don't realize too. And that's like one of my favorite things that I could just like stand on my soapbox all day long is like how much they're tied together, right? Because sure, if you want to make profit, we can be working 80 hours a week, but then we have no time freedom. So how can we work less and make more money? That's like always the end goal, right?
100%. All right. I know people are going to want to find you, stalk you. What is your dub and your socials? Where can we find you?
Yeah, so everything's the Summa Collective. So our website is www.thesummacollective.com, and Summa does have 2 M's in it. And Instagram is the same. We want to just impact as many business owners as we can, whatever that looks like. Both Christy and I love supporting small businesses and women-owned businesses and the beauty industry as a whole. And so even if, you get a little something just from this podcast, we feel like that's a win.
Well, thank you both for coming and spending some time with us. And it's been great having you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Jolene, Christy, you're totally right. If you are only seeing your accountant once or twice a year, then that's the only time you're looking at your numbers. Hey, we need to talk. And you're missing knowing the levers that you can pull to get growth out of your business. And you're missing seeing the opportunities for growth. And I know that you're looking at your numbers every month or even weekly can feel a little bit overwhelming until you really know what's happening and what you're looking at. And when you're not really sure what you're trying to read, I can definitely help with that. But knowing your numbers and having a Salon Mastery CEO Dash will save you from further stress down the line, and it also can help you make smarter decisions faster. I hope this episode has inspired you to conquer your numbers so you can feel more confident as a Salon CEO. Thank you again, Jolene and Christy, for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. And if you are looking to grow and become $1 million salon, break through that stuck place that you're at, I have a space in the Salon Mastery program just for you. Maybe we will build out your CEO Dash together. All you need to do is apply now. Click the apply now in the show notes of this very episode. We'll hop on a strategy. We'll talk a little. You can share a little about your salon. Let's see if Salon Mastery is the right place for you. Meanwhile, look forward to connecting with you same time, same place on the podcast. Till next week. Ciao for now.